Sergio, why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Hi. Thank you for having me. Well, so I'm a fellow podcaster as well. It's called the Paradigm Shift, and what I basically like to do is delve into ancient knowledge, things that have been, kind of forgotten over the years, or maybe kept from us on purpose. Um, Try to understand everything that is supernatural, metaphysical, anything related to ancient history, things that we might have missed, perhaps any contact with beings from other, worlds, different dimensions, stuff like that. So everything related to this. What I want to do is spirituality and what we have forgotten about what spirituality actually is, and I try to share as much knowledge as possible.
You mentioned some of it might have been kept from us. By who?
Mm. I mean, that's definitely a very big topic to go into, but I do believe that there are entities on this planet, not necessarily of the physical kind, that have sort of enslaved humanity or enslaved our minds. And there's a sentence that keep coming up in most of my in the books that I read, is that humanity is sort of a species with amnesia, that we have forgotten our origins, where we came from, and what place in the world and in the universe. There are different entities that live among us, that want to keep the truth about who we really are from us, want to keep us in chain, if you want, at least keep our brains or our mind in chain. We are capable of so many more things than we are told. There are people who are psychic, who are clairvoyant. There are people who can read each other's minds, body language on the spot. We can connect. Some people can astral project. We can have out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences. We are so much more powerful than we are told. And it's like our entire history is there to tell us that, we're irrelevant, we are nothing, we're weak, but that it could not be further from the truth.
Hmm. So when you say entities, what do you, what is that?
I mean, I believe in extraterrestrials. I believe in interdimensional beings. What our ancestors used to call devils and angels are, in fact, beings
Okay.
that have visited us from other worlds. They are repeating stories throughout our history about, beings, and every time it falls under the label of a religion, these beings are called something, and we're told that, they want us, they want, to create evil in the world, whether if they're demons, for example, or they want to help humanity, if we're calling angels and stuff. But
Yeah.
what's so interesting is, if you look back at the vocabulary that was used by these ancient civilizations, you can see how limited it was, because they had nothing to compare it to. And if you read them now again with the knowledge we have now, when we talk about technology, for example, and flying, airplanes, let's not go with saucers or whatever, let's just say airplanes, you can see how these civilizations were referring to beings that were much more advanced than they were. And it makes sense that these civilizations would worship them as gods, or call them supreme beings, because
Yeah.
they did not understand how they work.
Yeah, kind of been wondering a little bit lately, ever since I heard that thing about the Sphinx is a lot older than we thought it was.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
When did
Everything.
everybody find that out? Because I just found that out pretty recent.
This idea has been floating around for about 10 to 15 years, not
Yeah.
more than that. What they have discovered, for example, about the Sphinx in specific, since you mentioned it, is that there are, around the area where the Sphinx is, and this is actually in the entire Giza Plateau, so between the Sphinx and the three pyramids as well, is that there is erosion that happened to the stones,
Yeah.
and this erosion did not come from the wind of the desert. It actually came from more water, from rain and monsoon seasons,
Yeah.
which places the Sphinx during the time where that whole area was tropical. which happened before the Ice Age, which we're talking about 300,000 years or even more than that.
Okay.
So everything that, with new technology, they're discovering new things that don't align with what early archaeologists and historians were saying. And even there's Plato sent one of his priests to Egypt, and it's known, and he mentioned it in one of his books. Plato mentioned in one of his books that when the guy returned and he was talking to him, and he said that I met with the civilization of Egypt, even that civilization knew that there was an older civilization that dated them by thousands and thousands of years, and they carried information down with them. Now, for example, we're discovering that there's a pyramid shape that is appearing in Antarctica in the south, which is because of the global warming, the ice cap is melting, and now that it's melting, some structures are appearing, structures that could not be made by nature because they're way too, aligned and perfect. And if that actually turns out to be true, that there are structures in Antarctica, it means that there was a civilization living there prior to the Ice Age, which happened 120,000 years ago. That's when the last Ice Age began and melted around 11,000 years ago. So everything seems to be getting older and older. And you can imagine the amount of knowledge that has been lost throughout all these years.
What kind of structures have they found? Like, are they pyramids?
It's a pyramid. A pyramid. They found a pyramid, but for now it's being kept very, like hush. But you can see it on Google Earth, which
Oh, really?
is so weird because you can actually, yeah. You can actually Google the coordinates, and the app itself of Google Earth, not like a picture or someone faked it. No, the Google Earth
You
app
can zoom
will
in and
take you
everything.
down to the pyramid, and you can see it.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, I'd
completely
definitely
fascinating.
check that out.
But this is why I meant by things were being kept, because something like this should be like very big news. It should be huge
Yeah,
all over, like
absolutely.
talking about like, hello, we found a new pyramid that could change everything we know about our history, and yet people don't want to talk about it. It's being kept like let's not bring attention to it.
Yeah, it's the first I ever heard of it.
Yeah, it's insane.
So global warming might be a good thing.
It might end up being a good thing, revealing so many things to us that we didn't know. Yeah,
Right?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So, wow, that's definitely new. Did not know that one.
Yeah,
So, we were speaking on the Reddit thing a little bit about the quantum theory. So I had to do a little bit of
yeah.
research and try to learn a little bit because I did not know anything about it. I could barely spell it. So from doing the reading on it, it seems like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
atoms and subparticles of the atoms don't follow the same constraints of physics that we do. They have
Yep.
their own set, which
Yep.
I don't
Exactly.
really get that. But what I also don't get is we have to follow physics. We're made out of atoms. So what the hell happens there?
I think that's where that connection between the physical world and the non-physical world come into play. It seems like these let's say we're gonna call them atoms, for example. Have you ever did your research take you into something called the double slit theory? Has it come up?
Is that the one where
Where
one
they
atom and
shot.
another atom are at simultaneous places?
Exactly. So basically, this was an experiment done in the 50s or the 60s, and it has been redone several times over the years to kind of make sure that it's correctly done. And they wanted to see if you shoot a particle onto a wall, if it goes as a wave or if it goes as a particle, like as an actual item. So whether it's spread like a wave, like light wave, or if it stays as a particle itself. And I won't get into it because this experiment needs so much visual details. So like your followers need to actually Google it. It's explained very well on they can find on YouTube and stuff like that. But what the fascinating thing about this is that they notice that if they actually basically introduce an observant, someone who is witnessing the experience happening in front of them, if they put an observant, the particles change their behavior, which indicates that these particles on every level, they're aware of of everything else. They're aware that they're being observed, and they change their behavior based on that. It's insane. And it sounds like science fiction, but it really is not. And it's the basis of quantum mechanics completely, how everything breaks. There were even experiments done where they introduced an observant to see whether this particle, how is it going to behave after it starts behaving in a specific way. So the observance becomes after it behaves, and they kind of concluded that this particle sort of went back in time and changed its original nature once the observant was introduced to the experience, which means that these things do not even deal with time as we view it. I mean, we all know, or at least we should know, that time is not linear. And time, what we're seeing as three-dimensional beings, we only experience time as a branch, as one. Whereas if you look at time from a fourth dimensional place, like let's say there's a fourth dimensional being, that being can look at time in a very different way than we can. So even time is not the constant thing that we thought it was at some point. And these experiences on a quantum level, they've added so many layers to them over the years that last year, in 2022, the Nobel Prize of Physics went to three physicists who basically proved on a quantum level that the universe that we live in and our entire reality is a holographic universe. It's a projection of the original, of what that universe actually is. Everything we experience, everything we live is simply a projection. So what they did was, and they're calling it a non-local universe. That's basically what it was. What they were able to do is they got two particles and they got them to hit each other. Okay, and it's once two parts. So they got the two particles to touch. Obviously, I'm using very layman terms, but the idea behind it is that once these two particles touched, and then they separated these two particles by an immense amount of space, they were able to prove that if we put one particle, keep it on Earth, and the other particle goes to the other side of the galaxy, like they were able to put the experience in a way where size doesn't matter anymore between these two. Let's say we separated them across the globe. If we particles, the second particle changes its dynamic as well with it at the same time, which means that these two particles are still connected, which means that the fact that they are being altered, even though there is huge distance between them, that they are not here, they're not local. What it means is that these two particles are a projection of their original particles, which are always connected in one location.
A little bit.
Yeah. It's
a little bit.
It's a bit difficult. Yeah.
So
basically, our entire universe, everything in our reality, everything there is connected into a single point. Everything is in one point. And what we're witnessing in our daily lives is this point on a holographic scale. So we are seeing it as if it's as if there is distance between the particles, as if there's time between.
So would that be the Big Bang?
In events that happen, but everything is actually perhaps it could be the Big Bang. They did not connect it to the Big Bang, but what they said is that the universe that we live in, whether it started from the Big Bang or was it the end of another universe or whatever, is holographic and is a projection of everything being in a single point connected into one. Which actually, side note, it resonates on a spiritual level as well, because that's what every spiritual idea talks about, which is that we are all connected and everything is happening in the same time, and there is no other places to go to and other look. We're all one. That's the law of one in spirituality. So what last year they were able to prove on a quantum level, that we are in fact all connected and we are all into one.
I think I kind of get that. Yes, a lot. Wow. Okay. You said the thing about they act different when they're being observed. Do you mean just by like a person is observing them, like looking at them?
Basically, yes. So it's not a person, because a person will not be able to actually see the atoms by themselves. So what they did is they put a device, but that device is connected to something where we can witness it. This is the same concept as what's his name, the physicist
Schrodinger?
Schrodinger's. Yes, exactly, the cat, and how what he was proposing as an idea, and it was proven on a quantum level years later, is the cat. So we'll go over it just in simple ways. Is a cat is in the box, and as long as the box is closed, we don't know if the cat is in there or not. Like, two possibilities exist at the same time, that there is the cat is alive, or the cat, sorry, not is there, whether the cat is alive or the cat is dead. Okay. I can take it for I can give you an example outside of the physics world. So there is this very famous philosophical question. It's a philosophical question that is always asked about the tree and the are you familiar with that question? If a
Yeah,
tree
if a tree falls in the
if a
forest and
tree
nobody's there
falls
to
in
hear
the
it, does it make
forest
a noise?
and there's no one around noise, okay, so what would you say the answer to that is? Does it make a noise or not?
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't. See, a noise is only a vibration that is interpreted by your brain. Everything is vibrating. So when I speak, it's the vibration that are leaving my mouth, right? But until they reach a brain that can identify the sound, it's going to remain as a vibration. We only call it sound because that's how we understand, that's how we perceive it. We perceive the words with our five senses. Everything is it being interpreted in our brain. Light is hitting us from the sun. It's our brain that is deciding the colors of these vibrations, right?
Okay.
Same thing with the sound. So if I am screaming, for example, and it's only my voice coming out, but I can't hear, and there's no one around me who can hear, then there is no sound. It's only a vibration, just a vibration. It becomes a sound when someone is hearing it. When we take that idea and apply it to, for example, the tree falling in the forest, same thing. It just creates vibrations, but there is no actual sound that comes up. Now, this concept is now being proven on a quantum level that you need an observant. It's actually one of the theories that kind of explain God, if you want, where you need an observant for things to fall into place. Things exist like on a quantum level. Every atom, they call them, it's like a cloud before the particle kind of collapses, which means that everything is a certain possibility of things. So like the particle, when it exists as in a cloud of possibilities. It could go left, it could go right, it could go up or down. All of these possibilities exist at the same time. Okay. Now, once you introduce an observant and someone to witness what this goes down, goes one of them. But it actually does that thing. It doesn't stay in its cloud. It becomes something. That's what we call that. It collapses into a function. So it becomes whatever it needed to become. But it only becomes that once you are witnessing it, which means that the particle on some level is aware when it's being observed. And that's what that experience proved, basically, is that everything exists in a state of possibilities. Our whole reality exists in a state of possibilities. And because we are part of it, we are experiencing this reality, we are observing it and witnessing it and perceiving it. That's why everything is the way it is. See, these things, when we talk to them on a quantum level, they align with ancient teachings about God and spirituality, about the law of manifestation, for example, the law of attraction, how everything exists. Witness yourself doing something. Like when we talk about the law, when you manifest things, for example, why is it that some people are able to manifest what they want, the life that they want, whether it's financial, some people can do that because what they know deep down, they can feel it, is that I already have this thing. It's a possibility for me to get my dream. I just have to witness myself do it. I have to put myself in that in that possibility. And once I witness it, it becomes. And this is the connection between science and spirituality, is that it's not just ideas on a spiritual level or philosophical ideas. We are actually proving on a quantum level that these particles and our reality reacts to us and how we are doing and what we are witnessing. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, it's deep there. Yeah, I've been reading a little bit into the manifestation stuff. It's definitely life changing.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever had an experience
Um, yeah, I think they call them synchronicities. Is that the same thing?
where you felt something or you saw something and then it actually happens?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's part of it. Synchronization is when basically the universe is telling you that, hey, just to remember how powerful you are. It's like signs that the universe
yeah,
sends you to make you question, like, why am I seeing these numbers so much? Like, why am I seeing 1111 all the time? Or why is it that, I think of something and then I see it in front of me? So these things are the universe's way of kind of reminding you how powerful you are, so that you put your mindset into manifesting what you want. Yes,
yeah,
tell me.
yeah. I've been told a few times that I'm very intuitive.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
I
Me
just
too.
figured I was a good guesser, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, you know,
It's because it comes so naturally to you, for example, being intuitive, that you think that it's not a big deal. You know what I mean?
yeah, a
These
lot of
things
it
don't
is
happen
perspective.
to a lot of people. So people who are intuitive, they think, oh, wait, isn't everyone like this? Or I thought it was just like, I'm just guessing. But right.
Yeah,
But I used to have a thing, for example, where I grew up like this, and I honestly thought everyone is like this. I used to get a vision of that. I would see it, like I would just be sitting normally, and I would see myself somewhere, for example, or I would see someone having a conversation with someone else, and then it would immediately leave my mind, like gone immediately. I forget about it, and then a month later or 2 months later, I find myself in that place, and I'm like, I actually saw this. How is that even possible? Like I now I remember that I saw this scene happening in my mind, and I thought everyone was like that as well.
well, like
I thought it
deja
was very
vu.
normal. It's clairvoyance. So when you see the future, or you kind of what I would see it more as, it's like I kind of understand it in a way where if I stay on this path, then this is the future that's waiting for me. But I can make a choice where, no, I want something else to happen, and then I can change it. That's how it's always been with me.
Okay. Yeah. So I've always had this thing where I can kind of know what's going to happen, not as far as like, all right, yeah, this is going to be this color or anything like that. No,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah, obviously, yeah,
yeah, more of like, all right, if you speak to this person, you can't trust this person. Just, my gut tells me don't do it. Down the line, turns out can't trust them because, whatever it is
yeah,
that happens.
yep, yep, yep,
But
yeah, yeah.
I always thought it was just, me just
That's
doing,
intuition 101,
kind of
right?
the math in my head.
Yes, but even if you kind of understand the method in which you're doing it, the fact that you do it naturally, that's part of it as well. You were not taught how to do something like this. It's not, when we talk about these things, they're not necessarily, because we always feel like, oh, this is some sort of like magic, like it doesn't make sense, like it's too much out there. But no, it is based on actual things. It's just that you are more in tune to maybe the universe or the path where you are. You can read people, you can scan them, for example, like from
Yeah.
body language. You can immediately, some people spend years studying these things just so that they can reach a certain level, and some people just naturally have them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I know a couple of people that are like literally the opposite, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, if they tell me somebody's great, I'm like, all right, I gotta stay away from that person.
yeah. Exactly.
Like they make every mistake that's possible to make. But, you know. Hmm. All right. So
And to you, you go like, how do they not see that this is gonna lead you to this?
yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. You mentioned something a little bit about the
Yeah.
frequency. So that's something I've been wanting to learn about. And I've honestly been having trouble finding out the science behind it, I guess. So you've heard the term, like, their vibe is
Yeah.
this or the vibe is
Uh,
that.
yep. 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 Yep.
So it's one of those things, like, we all seem to know what it is, but nobody seems to be able to articulate it.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So from that, my understanding is that it's a frequency. A frequency is basically the way something vibrates.
Yep.
Which, what the hell does that even mean?
Okay. So first we need to establish a baseline so that we can understand it more. Okay. And the baseline is that everything vibrates. What I was talking about earlier when I mentioned how the tree falling and the sound and everything that we witness and we call reality is our brain interpreting vibrations. This is on a scientific level. So, for example, when you look at the light coming from the sun, right, and you have from the UV light to the ultraviolet to the forgot the name,
The ultraviolet.
yeah, from the micro the waves that from the light that we can see
Yeah,
in our the that define the colors that we can see, right? So if we talk about that, for example, to kind of, like I said, establish a baseline, we as humans can see the world through a specific set of colors that are coming from a specific frequency from one number to another. Yes.
yeah,
Now we know from our scientific studies of other animals, for example, that animals experience the reality in a different way, and they cannot see some of the colors we can. For example,
they can.
like like dogs or whatever and stuff. And there are animals who see more frequencies of light than we do. So say they see the world in a much different colorful way than we do. This is established and accepted on a scientific level. There's no denying it as well.
Yeah,
Same thing for everything else. Like when it comes to sound, you know how like they
dog whistle.
are the whistles that for when they train the dogs, exactly. So dogs hear a specific frequency of sound that we do not hear. Which, what does it all mean? It means that it means frequencies. It's all vibrating on all levels, and each being that exists on this planet, whether it's a human, it's a dog, it's a cat, a plant, whatever it is perceiving the world in its own reality based on the capacity of this being. Our brain can interpret the world we live in with these set of colors, these sets of sounds, taste, smell, touch. This is it, these five. Right. Now, taking it from that baseline, so scientifically, it has been proven that everything is vibrating. Now, where science is kind of catching up now with on a more spiritual level is that not only things vibrate when it comes to lights and sound and taste and all that, but also emotions vibrate. So when I'm in a love state, my brain is vibrating that. When I'm angry, I'm vibrating differently. So emotions also have their own vibrations, even if they're a bit lower and not as strong as the vibrations coming from the sun, for example. So, but we are still vibrating on these on these waves and these frequencies, and that's where it comes in the idea of not connect with certain people based on those vibrations and what we get from them. Now, some people are more intuitive, so they can feel someone's energy, right? Like I'm exhibiting, resentment, for example, or jealousy. I come into a house of my friend and I'm jealous. I'm not, why does he have more than me? Why does he? Some people who are perhaps in the same room as me can pick up on this energy, on this vibration that I'm exhibiting. And once they pick that up, they feel like, no, I'd rather not be in the presence of something like this, because they're much more intuitive. They're sensitive. They're actually called HSB, highly sensitive beings. And that's where the entirety of the concept of vibrations and frequencies come into play. Now, when there are different waves of these frequencies, obviously, because they're not the same. So you have frequencies that are much more, slow and, like a higher frequencies. So when you talk about love, happiness, when you're feeling these things, this is what your brainwave is exhibiting, these frequencies. When you go lower vibrations, that's when you go into more darker, if you want, emotions. So you're talking anger, resentment, jealousy, envy, rejection. These are lower vibrational emotions. And obviously, from the name, if you want, between higher and lower, the goal is to try to make yourself feel or accept the higher vibrational ones. Because the more you vibrate on a higher level, the more you are in tune with nature. You are more in tune with the universe, with the world that we live in. Lower vibrational feelings push you away from this connection of the world. And that's why whenever you feel bad or you're down, feeling everything, you don't have hope for the future. You feel like you want to disconnect. You feel like I'm not in touch with, with myself anymore. I'm not in touch with my friends and but let's say you go and take a walk in nature. Okay, like there's so many different, people talk about like antidepressant ways without taking pills or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, just take a walk in nature every day for half an hour. You reconnect, with Mother Earth and all that. That's because you're reconnecting with that higher vibration. So it's gonna imprint on, and it's gonna give you that, that relaxation. It will slowly, move away from these lower ones.
Okay. So that's where the term feeling low comes from.
Which term?
Feeling low, like somebody's feeling low.
That is usually, yes. Like there are so many ways
Okay.
that it's interesting you brought it up, because even when we talk about heaven and hell, by the way, okay, hell is below and heaven is above. We were
In the
referring to
cartoons.
these emotions without us knowing that that's where we're attuning to higher levels, or
Yeah.
we're attuning to lower levels of. My belief, for example, is that when it comes to heaven and hell, they're not actually like a punishment or a reward to what you've been doing in your life. They're just the consequence of what you're feeling. So if you like live your life in a low vibrational way and you die in a low vibration, you're going to experience reality after you die on a low vibrational plane. That's what you call hell. You
Mhm.
got what I mean? And if you try to live your life in a higher plane and higher levels, you will die, and then you will experience reality of death in a higher vibrational one. So it's simply what you're living. It's not that you're being punished if you be bad and you go to hell because you've been bad and God is sitting there judging you. No, it's just, so I'm going to go to a lower place. I'm emotionally high, so I'm going to go to a higher place. As simple as that.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah, I definitely know that, if you're angry, life just ain't the same, man. Same way, like you
Right?
said, if you're in love, like even the water tastes better.
Yes. And when you're angry, you notice how everything seems to keep getting worse. Like it's not getting better. Like you never get better when you're in that place. It just keeps getting worse, and you put yourself more in that hole. You just, until you start breaking away from those emotions, that's when suddenly life changes. It's not like life has changed. You're experiencing it differently. Just
Yeah,
you're
that's how you deal
attracting
with
things
things.
differently now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, speaking of the high and low, so those are frequencies, right?
Yep. Mhm.
Can they be measured?
They can on very, we don't have yet the equipment that the closest thing that people have to, like when they're getting like an MRI or scan, a brain scan, okay, and they would ask the patient or the person they're testing, okay, like, or they would try to get him in a state of happiness, try to get him in a state of anger, show him pictures, remind him of stuff. So they wanted to get all the different emotions, and they would then see the scan of their brain, how it's reacting to different things. And that's the closest thing so far that we've gotten to the fact that different emotions release different waves from our brain. That's the closest thing we have so far. What we lack is how to harness that, if you want, how to really, get, that's what we need more. I feel like more technologically advanced tools that
Mhm.
will eventually let us measure these things. Just now, how we can measure the frequency of the sun, and what it's emitting to us, which we couldn't do 100 years ago, for example, or 200 years ago.
Yeah.
In the future, this is what we're going to be getting, more frequencies or more things to measure these stuff.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Huh. I wonder if they have that on YouTube. That Neuralink thing.
I couldn't hear you clearly. You're asking.
Mhm.
Neuralink? I'm not sure I'm familiar with it, actually.
That thing where Elon supposedly wants to put like computers in our heads or something.
Oh, no. No. I would not trust that at all. I wouldn't trust that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be the first
I,
guy.
right?
I mean,
Exactly.
I'll be
You're
honest.
right.
I'm not a big fan of technology. Like, I have my phone. I'm supposed to get a new phone. I don't want to just because then I have to learn how to use it. You know, like I miss phones that had buttons. Honestly,
Yeah.
hell, I miss
No,
pagers.
right. I mean, those things would like if it falls on the floor, it's the best. Those are the best phones. I feel like our reliance on technology is getting too much, honestly, and it's pushing us away from our true purpose and our true goal, like from understanding these things.
Yeah,
Yani, we're becoming so much distracted with so many things around the world that we should not be distracted from. And the brain is not built to be distracted in that way. Like the brain is built to only care about 100 to 150 people in your life, because that's the original tribe. So you had like when they were still, there would be maximum of 100 people in that tribe, and you as an individual there, your brain could be able to comprehend, okay, so this is my immediate family, this is my distant family, these are the close friends, and that's it. This is all I care about in the world and how I'm going to survive. Now we're being exposed to so many different problems that we should not be exposed to, and it brings stress, anxiety, depression, all that, for things that don't affect us at all, but we're just aware of them. We're just completely, it's in our face. It's so loud all the time. It's there that you should not, and it's making us kind of not take care of our immediate tribe anymore because we're being distracted with other stuff.
yeah, yeah. I'd say a lot of our problems are manufactured. You know,
Yes, definitely.
not even
I
technology. I
totally
think
agree.
honestly, like hell, honestly, culture is a big one. You know,
What do you mean? In what way?
so I'm the type of person I care about what I care about, and I don't care at all about what I don't care about. And then I meet
Okay.
other people that are worried about, like, oh, what if this person sees this? What if this person that? Their happiness is
Oh
contingent
yeah.
on other
Yeah.
people, which I don't
Yes.
understand it. Like, there's so much to do in a day. How do you have time?
Exactly. I mean, I feel like I was lucky to be brought up in an environment or a house where my mom would always tell me like, I don't care about what other people say. We do what we do, and this is our life. We know what's real. We know what our intentions are, and that's all that matters. So she kind of like, engraved that into my brain,
Yeah,
and I live my life based on that. Like, I really do not care what people think about my life. If I was gonna care, there were so many things I wouldn't have done. You know what I mean? So when I see others, like you're saying, that they base their validation and acceptance and all that on others, it's just like I always try to bring it up, like just do you, like you're unique, you can do it even if you fail. Either way, people are gonna talk, like no matter what you do, people are gonna say something bad about
yeah,
you, like if they
yeah. You do good, bad. Everybody got an opinion on something, one way or the other.
everyone's going to get an opinion, and culture is like you're saying, it's one of the biggest contributors to something like this, because there's so much pressure that comes from culture, like you should behave in a specific way, especially like here where I live. The entire Arab world is everything is related to like your image and what you should be presenting to the world and how you should put yourself out there and all that. And even though everyone is doing something wrong on some level, like everyone is just, we're very good at hiding it. We're very good at pretending that we're better than everyone else is, doing their own thing anyway.
That's a fact. We were speaking a little bit earlier about how religions seem to have like the same message,
Yeah.
and how that's been perverted by politics, by culture. And I don't know if this is something I'm noticing, but it seems like a lot of religions kind of just piggybacked off of each other because they all seem to have the
Oh
same message, but a
yes.
lot of the
Oh
stories or
yes.
the names change and
Oh
that's it.
yeah. If
So that
you
is a thing.
the more you delve into it, by the way, there is just a side note here. There isn't a single historian that I've spoken to or I've read about who is not an atheist. Everyone is an atheist. They reject religions because everyone who studied history can see the similarities insanely. Like literally, they just copy and paste from each other, but they change I'll give you an example. Because I absolutely love that civilization and the entire mythology behind it and what it could mean to us. So the first civilization ever that we know of in terms of our history, written history, is what came from Mesopotamia, right? The first and the cuneiform, which is the first written language, modern day Iraq, everything there,
Cradle of life.
and uh, and they have a story, for example, about the flood, the great flood. That in that story, what happened in the mythology of Mesopotamia is that there were so many different gods, obviously, like all the religions back then. And one of the gods who was in charge of earth, he was in charge of the heavens. His name is Enlil. He hated humanity, basically. He called us like we were very loud, we were reproducing out of control. He did not like us. He wanted to reset humanity on earth. So he was like, okay, you know what, we're just going to make a flood, destroy everything, start all over. And then he had a brother. His name was Enki. Enki was the lord of earth. Direct translation, Enki, lord of earth. His plan. But then he went behind his brother's back to one guy. His name is, in that religion, his name is Atrahasis. And he told him how to build a boat so he can survive the flood. Okay. Now, if the story sounds familiar, it's because it's the same story that Abrahamic religions took as Noah. But what they did was they changed certain things, is that instead of having two different gods who disagreed on what to do with humanity, it was somehow the same God who said, I want to destroy humanity. Oh, but I like you and your family. So how about I teach you how to build a boat? So you got what I mean? They also have stories about Adam and Eve and the first creation. Like in Mesopotamia, there is an entire tablet. It's called the Tablet of Adapa. Adapa is the name of Adam and how he was created. And it matches the same story that Islam. And you can see these similarities. It's insane. The previous one added to it. The same thing happened between the Romans and the Greeks, for example. Now they share so many gods, they just have different names. So the Greeks had Zeus, Romans had him called Neptune, for example, the god of the sun. Different stories come in here and there, and then they would change them and they would alter a little bit just to even in Christianity, for example, the story of Jesus is actually same story that happened in ancient Egypt, back in the pharaohs, and when those the Egyptians gods were there, and there's OT, and he also was referred to as the savior, as the son of God, and he was also killed. Same thing. It's really fascinating once you see that, and even his symbol is there is like a semi-cross with a circle on top, like he was always holding it. So it's even the same symbol.
Is it
And
a cross with
you
a
can
circle in it?
yeah, it's the Ankh of life, they call it, the key of life. If you see it, how it looks,
Okay, yeah, I
very
think I
similar
see
to
it.
the
I
yeah.
always figured it was just a cross.
No,
Like I
these
just
are
figured it
all
was a fancy
symbols. Yeah,
cross.
these are all symbols that have been taken from different cultures and different. Even Christianity, for example, the way they celebrate Easter, when it comes to Jesus, resurrection, and that's Easter. Easter is actually the goddess Ishtar. That's what the Romans used to celebrate the goddess Ishtar in that period of the year, because she brought new life. So when the Roman Catholic Church
So the eggs are for.
flipped into becoming the Roman Catholic Church, basically, when yeah, exactly. And once the Rome into becoming the Roman Catholic Church, they kept the old days of celebration, they just switched the reasons. So they said, okay, so now this is Easter. The people celebrated those days for whatever reason paganism did. But what we want to do is now celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. So now this is now, synonymous with the resurrection of Jesus. Same thing for Christmas. It used to be the winter solstice.
Yeah.
And they switched it into Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been hearing something about the whole thing has to do a lot with mushrooms.
You mean at the start of everything?
Well, no, with Christmas, a big part of it is something about like the red mushrooms. I just heard a little bit about it. I never actually tried it, so.
I'm not familiar with that, but what I am, when the fact that you mentioned mushrooms is there's a theory about how basically humanity became self-aware, and it's even referred to in the Abrahamic religions, because what they say is that Adam and Eve. See, there's a very common misconception is that we think that in the story, obviously this is not what happened in real life because there was no Adam and Eve, but in the story it said that we think that they ate an apple, right? It's the apple of Adam. That's it. But there is no mention in any Abrahamic book in all three religions that it was an apple. It's so interesting. If you look at every version of the Bible, at the Quran, at the Torah, there is no apple. Well, it says that they ate the fruit. They were not allowed to eat from the fruit. We don't know what fruit that was. And the story goes is that once Adam and Eve ate from the fruit, they became self-aware and they kind of saw what was happening and that they were naked and they're sinners and all that. So there's a theory that it's actually a representation of man who ate mushrooms and hallucinated and actually went on a psychedelic trip and saw things that they were not supposed to see. And they're like, okay, there is a God, there is this, and there is that. You got what I mean? So it kind of like
they got high.
Kind of matches the story in a weird, funny way that the original fruits got high. There is a sort of like that theory that when they ate it and they got high, it triggered something within the brain that got them to be self-aware. That's the story.
They lost their ignorance.
That's the theory that goes. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Mushroom, that's pretty cool though.
Mushroom. It all came down to the mushrooms. Yeah, no, it's not apple at all. It's really insane because when I read about it, I was like, there's no way there's no apple. And I read about, like, I opened the Bible. I was like, there is no apple. There's no mention of the apple anyway. You know what I mean? So interesting. Even there's in that story as well, like the serpent, there is no mention that it's a devil. Like there is no mention in the devil actually in the Testament, the Old Testament of the Bible. You know how the Bible has like the Old Testament and New Testament, and the Old Testament is the same as in Judaism, which is the Torah. In that entire book, there is no mention of anything called the devil. Nothing.
Really?
There's only the serpent at the start, which when we were taught the religion, we're told, by the way, that was the devil. There's no saying. It just says the serpent came and told Eve to eat from the tree. That's it. Nothing else. And then there is one part where it's mentioned an entity that is called Satan one time, where there was like a council where God was sitting and other beings and, the angels and stuff. And then he saw Satan and he's like, where are you? Who are you? He's like, Satan was like, I've been roaming around earth, collecting information and talking to different beings and stuff like that. And that's it. But I find it very interesting that the entirety of the Old Testament of the Bible has a very important character is missing, which is the devil, who is the basis of everything that the religion is. And if you sin, it's because the devil played with your head. And yet, for thousands of years, no one even mentioned the existence of that being. Yeah, it's so interesting when you revisit ancient information that was given to you as a child, and you see that this is not what's actually written. You know what I mean? Like, these are ideas that were given to me by someone, and I was told that this means that, and this means that, and all that. But the actual text does not contain what you guys are saying.
Kind of curious. I kind of want to read it now.
You should. You definitely should. It will blow your mind once you read it from a new light.
It's definitely going to be a different perspective.
Yeah. There's even like alien abductions in the Old Testament as
Wait,
well.
what?
Very, very. Oh yeah. Elijah, for example, he actually saw a spacecraft. There is another story with Isaiah, where he was walking with his brother-in-law or with his nephew, and the story says is that he was walking, and suddenly a chariot made of fire appeared from the sky, and there was a light that came down from that chariot, and suddenly the prophet was he started going in a whirlwind into the chariot, and he went away. And that's how they're describing how he died, is that a chariot of fire came down and sucked him up. Which, if you think about it now, if someone was living in that time and they saw, let's say, a flying saucer, they wouldn't know how to call it a flying saucer, because they
Yeah.
wouldn't even have the terminology to use those words. So they would use words that they understand. So this looks like something that looked like a chariot, and it has a lot of light on it, kind of burning something. So I'm guessing it has fire, or it's made of fire. But that story aligns with so many abduction stories that you hear of today. They see a light, something is being sucked, and they go somewhere else and all that. And if you see in the Bible, you will see so many different places where they are actually describing beings that came from other. Say this being came down from heaven, like they saw them coming down. You know, they're literally just describing what they're seeing. They're seeing something coming down from the sky, which means that they were in contact with entities and beings that were not from Earth.
And this is in the Bible, you said?
Yeah. It's horrible.
What's going on with all this UFO stuff? I've been hearing that they're going to release information and they've been seeing stuff, but, where they at?
With all the UFO stuff and everything.
Yeah, I know they were supposed to release a bunch of information, and then I know over the past 2-3 months before all the distractions in the news and stuff,
Yeah.
there were, I think, like 3 or 4 unidentified flying objects that were found.
Yeah, that they released, I think, in 2020. If I'm not mistaken, it was November of 2020, where they confirmed that previous footage of UFOs flying around that they discredited are actually real, and they, we don't know where they're from, but what we know is that they break the laws of physics, because like they can fly at supersonic speed without actually making a sonic boom. So they're very silent. They move in ways that should not move. They should not move, at least not what we know of.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now, honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about these things, because to me, it feels like a distraction tactic or something where they need to, like throw in some things like, yeah, look at all these UFOs here, because they want to do something else in the, while no one's looking or something like that. But there's definitely something to it, because there's a reason why people have been witnessing, UFOs and aliens for years and years. These things don't just, and you could also say that people who used to call different beings demons and devils and ghosts and spirits and all that, they could also be countering aliens as well, but they just don't know that this is what we're calling them. They don't know that these are,
Yeah.
they
For all we
just
know, they're the same thing.
revert, right? But they just revert back to what they know. Like, so if my religion is telling me there are demons, and I'm seeing something that is extremely scary in front of me, that's the only thing I know, so I'm going to call it demon. I was saying that what's fascinating is that when you start reading about all the ancient beliefs and connecting the dots, basically, you start seeing this very clear picture of beliefs and things that, did not make sense at the time, but now they do. Like if you have a, like an overview of things, and it's like everyone has been talking about the same thing throughout these centuries and thousands of years. They've always been talking about contacts with beings from other planets or from other dimensions, and they're talking about, like worshiping these beings. They're talking about the blocking of that happened to humanity, and how we've been told that we are slaves and we're here to worship, and not, we're not strong and powerful and all that. They all share that in common. They all share the same stories, the same ideas. It just, brainwashing after indoctrination, after all that, to just convince you that you are weak and that you're not as powerful as you really are. And it just feels that or gods or angels or whatever is that these are just more advanced beings than us. And we worship them falsely and called them gods. And they took advantage of that. And they still do till now. Like that is not what God actually is. That's not what the divine creator, the source actually is.
So what is the actual source?
What I believe is that what we call the divine consciousness is this everything is the one. We're all part of that. If you hear what religion says, for example, how they describe God, they call him omnipresent, right? Omnipresent, he's everywhere.
Yeah.
And yet they tell you that you are a creature and he's a creator, and that there's a disconnect. Like even the prayer, our Father who art in heaven, immediately you are disconnecting yourself from him. You're disconnecting yourself from God. When we say like I die and I go to hell, I'm implying that there's a place where I will be where God is not. That does not align with an omnipresent God. There cannot be a reality where I live today, where I am here, where I'm holding something that is not made of God and part of God, because we are all part. This is the omnipresence of the Creator or of God. We're all part of it. We are experiencing it as we go along. You know what I mean? It's like this. I don't know how to explain it. There is this. I have a tattoo here. Okay, and this is the symbol of the Vesica Pisces.
It's a symbol of what?
And to me, this is the symbol of God. It's called the like a Vesica Pisces. But what I see it as, and I've read about different interpretations of the symbol, is that this is God, everything. This is the symbol of God, the creator. And when he became the creator, or when he came into existence and said, I am, just I am, he was the only thing in existence. And if you're the only thing in existence, then no one can witness you, no one can manifest you. So what happened at the moment of him saying, I am, he divided into the creation, which is us here. And now there is something to witness this God, and that's the connection that we have here. And all of us together, the creator and the creation and the connection that we have, which is love, makes the entirety of God. Everything in existence is this circle. Everything is God witnessing itself and witnessing its creation through us. That we are the window, we are the eyes. We are our soul is that part of this creator that is experiencing what creation is, what life, love, everything is. All the emotions, all the possibilities, all the different choices, all the different universes, everything that could exist is being witnessed through us to him.
And this would all be happening simultaneously?
Yeah, because there is no time. Everything is happening at the same time. We're all witnessing creation at the same time because he is on a much, contained. We as humans in this particular moment, we are experiencing this reality and this creation through the eyes of three-dimensional beings who can only witness time as a linear way. But there are other versions of us, and there are different beings, and who are experiencing things in a much different way, experiencing this creation in a different aspect, from a different point of view. But we're all in it together to witness. Yeah, pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, a little bit. I feel my brain breaking.
Yeah.
I was looking up the thing you were talking about, quantum teleportation, where
Yeah.
when I read about it, it seemed like it was the teleportation of ideas and not matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so isn't that the internet?
It's funny that you mentioned that. because there is a theory and a belief that I read about it maybe a month ago, is that you know how we're telepathic sometimes, like we can, you know, you're sitting in the same room with someone and you kind of have the same thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And okay, there is a theory that this telepathy, for example, or our intuition into the future, our clairvoyance and all that, could be the reason, could be the outcome of a much ancient form of technology, hundreds of thousands of years ago, a form of the internet that we know today, but it's more connected within us. So it's sort of like our older ancestors have reached a specific level of technologically advanced ideas, and let's say there's a brain in our there's a chip in our brain, but it's not actually physical, that has connected humanity together. And now once we experience certain things that we do together, like telepathy, for example, we are connected through that ancient knowledge that is within us. It's within our DNA that came from our ancestors and ancient people. So it's kind of the same thing that we are, where we're headed again. It's sort of like the cycle of humanity where we were there before and now we're going again. When you talk about the internet and how it's like, you know, the quantum teleportation that you mentioned and the sharing of these ideas, what we're still using tools to achieve that. We're still using tools that are outside of ourselves, outside of our brain, right? Like we need wires and we need this and we need satellite and fiber optics and all that. When they're studying these things on a quantum level, the object of it is to reach a point of advanced understanding that we can activate these things without the use of tools. We can activate them within ourselves so that we can engage into thoughts and ideas and communication without the use of devices, without the use of technology, if you want.
And this is something that they're working on.
That's that's what we're understanding, right? So for example, it was last year when they understood that we can still affect one particle if we affect the one that, you know, came before, that was an entanglement with it, no matter what the distance is. See, these things are not connected with any device. They're not connected with wires or anything like that. They're just connected on a quantum level. So this is where our understanding of these things is going to take us into the future, maybe decades into the future, is once not only we understand that particles behave in a specific way on a quantum level, but how we can harness that, how we can manipulate it and, you know, get the best out of it, if you want.
Okay. You mentioned the thing about microchips. So I've heard this thing before that stones have, how do I put it? They have their own frequency. I guess that they're alive or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't really fully understand it. But one of the roads that kind of took me down was, okay, if that's the case, crystals are basically stones. And then supposedly different crystals do different things.
Yes.
Which, you know, and this is just, you know, my understanding of it, which isn't a lot. Which, you know, a lot of it sounds like, you know, hocus pocus, like magic and stuff, right?
Got it. Yeah.
But then again, if you look at a lot of religions, a lot of them have, you know, for instance, turquoise.
Yeah.
Almost every culture that never interacted with each other give turquoise, you know, a certain thing. And then one of the things that I found out pretty recently was, when I was trying to figure out this thing behind me.
Yeah.
The
Eye of Ra.
Well, that, but how it's supposed to. Wow, my brain is going blank. See, my brain literally broke.
Yeah. What is it supposed to emit? Some
the pineal gland.
The pineal gland. Yeah.
Yeah, supposedly like
the third eye.
Yep. Theory of that. that there's crystals in there.
In the
And
pineal gland?
yeah.
Ah, okay, okay.
Now, if that's the case, isn't that a microchip? Like, isn't that what it is?
Interesting. Because I have never heard, honestly, I haven't come across this idea about the crystal being there. Does this theory mention that it's put there, placed there, or is it a natural
No, it's
thing
a
that
natural
exists
thing.
within it? It's a natural
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I
Interesting.
because like I went down like,
I
the
mean,
rabbit hole of it. And it was mentioning how,
the rabbit hole.
it could
Yeah.
get calcified. And but yeah, like there's little crystals which actually is in, our electronics. Which,
Okay. Okay.
if
Yeah.
that's the case, then, isn't technology basically just magic?
That's the thing, no? I mean, because when you were saying that a lot of these things, when you're talking about crystals and rocks and stuff like that, and you did mention like it's hocus pocus and it's magic, and see that's the idea, is that magic is simply something that has not yet been proven by technology or science. Because if I was sitting with you 1,000 years ago and I was telling you, you know that I have the ability, or in the future we're gonna have the ability to open a box, and you're gonna sit on that side of the globe and I'm going to sit on this side of the globe, and we're going to communicate through a box across the world. We say this is magic, right? So everything that even if those ideas were presented at the time, they could have been rejected as, heresy or magic or whatever, like, or the witch hunt of Salem and what was happening there. And they were like chemists, right? It was alchemy basically, and they were just understanding things, how they work on that level,
Yeah.
is what we call magic. And we have such a negative association with that word because it's like it's not real and it's not there. But we are living in, magical times, if you want, to our ancestors. We should not be talking right now. And if I
Yeah.
go back in time and explain to them how I'm talking to you, I'm gonna be considered crazy,
Yeah, they kill you.
right? So, well, exactly. And that's the idea, is that we reject, or what's happening, I feel now, is that science is sort of, or some people look at science as it's becoming some sort of a cult, or at least cultish thinking, is that we no longer question science anymore. We just accept it, and this is not, no, we can't have new ideas come up because science has not proven it yet, or it's not peer reviewed and stuff. But everything we know about science has changed over the years. Like everything, nothing is stayed constant. We always come up with new theories, with new ideas. We take these laws and then we apply them and all that. So the whole purpose is to always keep an open mind about everything. Even if something called science, it will be disproven in time, and we will have new ways of measuring things, new understanding, which will put new laws that will, give us the baseline for new things. Like now we keep hearing, oh yeah, but on an atomic level, the laws of physics don't work as we know them. Yeah, but we've put those laws. It's not like those laws existed. We just
Yeah.
observed things and we were like, oh, these are the laws based on this. It moves from here. There's a force, dynamic, all of that. These are the laws of physics. Let's work within these rules. But now we're discovering that no, on a different level, these rules don't apply at all. So eventually we're going to put new laws, and that's going to make us understand the words in a different way as well, and accept it, and accept these ideas. It feels like always, like philosophy and spirituality is always ahead, and they come up with these ideas, and then science comes and then, proves that they can happen in that way.
Okay, like it backs it up, I guess, or proves it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So, as far as spirituality, how has it benefited you?
Oh, you cannot imagine the inner peace that I live with. The person I
Okay.
was 6, 7 years ago, I was so angry at everything. I resented things. Things would happen to me. I would go through financial issues. I would go through family issues. It was always, there's so much, and because I grew up in a religious background, there was always like blame and anger at God. Like, why would you do this to me? You know, like, why are you making me live this stuff? You're making me suffer. Why there's so much suffering in the world? Why am I going through this and all that? And once I've started to look at it from a spiritual point of view, how it's not so much as God is making these things happen, but it's a collaboration. It's something that, because I believe on a spiritual level that every soul, before coming to earth, we choose our lives, we choose who we want, we choose our families, our friends, all the choice, everything, we choose them before we coming here, and we're here only experiencing those choices. We're here to understand those choices that we made before we were born. So that gave me so much peace and acceptance to things. Like, whatever happens, it's like, you know what, it's part of it, it's part of the experience, it's part of me understanding this life and going through it, and I'm ready for it, I'm here for it, I can take it. It empowered me to actually understand how I can manifest things happening, how I can manifest the right people, how I compare the choices that I used to make before to the choices I make now about my life. I mean, it doesn't even, like, the things I used to choose before were always coming from a place of fear and lack and anger, and it has, hurt me more and more. And now there's so much, like, I'm enjoying things so much more, like whenever I want to do something, I make it because I want to be like creative. I want to be, I love it. I want to meet the right people in my life. I want all that. It's just like, it's life changing. It's insane. And I feel like I just have to, share it with everyone. And like, you cannot imagine how good this is, but it's insane.
No, I get that. I mean, hell, that's pretty much why the podcast is here, right?
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking
Because
about
it's
that.
so powerful that you cannot not share it, right?
Yeah, yeah. You think about what it was before that and what it is now. Just why would people want to be the before?
Right?
I was thinking
Exactly.
about it the other
Exactly.
day. Did I find peace because I became spiritual, or did I become spiritual because I found peace?
Okay.
Honestly, I'm not sure which is where. You know,
But does it matter?
exactly. It doesn't.
Right? It doesn't matter because I found the peace. And I'm ready for whatever life is gonna throw at me. It's not like, oh, I'm never gonna go through bad stuff again. No, I
Yeah,
know,
shit happens.
this is exactly. I know this is part of it, but it's just how I deal with it is a different way, right? Like, I feel that's how you're seeing it as well. That it's not that bad stuff don't happen. It's you see them differently. You react to them in a much better way than you used to before. And why wouldn't I want that? And I want everyone to experience it as well. Like, it's just so good.
Yeah, I get that. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed.
How long have you been on the spiritual path?
Um, so I grew up angry. Like, as a
Oh,
kid, I was, the one that always wanted to fight,
okay.
one of those type of people, always overreacting to things. But when I was about my, I think I was like 15, 16, tried to start getting myself together, which I wouldn't really say
Okay.
spiritual wise, but I stopped doing dumb things,
Yeah, yeah. Yep, yep,
you
yep.
know? And then after trying not to do dumb things for years, and it took years,
Yeah,
at a certain point, I just stopped wanting to do them. I didn't
yeah,
want to fight no more. I didn't.
yeah, yeah. You no longer had to stop yourself from doing it because you don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, that's
Right?
just who I was now.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
then, you know, and there's been setbacks, you
Of
know,
course.
it's not a straight line. I've been going back and forth on some
Do you
things.
notice how, like, whenever you kind of want to make a big change and you're working on it, that it's like you're being tested and the universe throws things
Yeah.
at you where you go like, have you really changed or not? Let's see what's gonna
Oh
happen.
my God, I feel that in
Right?
traffic. Oh my God, when
Exactly.
I'm in traffic, I feel that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Ooh. Like I'll be peaceful and everything, but then, oh my God, with the
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But over the past couple of years, I kind of like took it. I realized things can only bother me as much as I let them.
Yep.
And
Yes.
then with that, I was like, oh, let me learn a little bit about this. Let me learn a little bit about that. Let me see what these people think of this. So that's been like maybe the last 10 years, but a lot more over maybe the last four. There was like a setback
Okay.
about 2 years ago, but
Yeah. Yep.
recentered, I guess.
Yeah. It's really amazing, and like how you're saying, setbacks will happen, and that's where you really can see the progress that you've made. I don't know if you felt that or
Oh,
not,
yeah.
because there are things where there are things that would happen with me, and I'll be like, okay, I'm upset, but goddamn, if this happened to me 10 years ago, like I would have been like really bad, like the reaction would be much worse than where
Oh,
I
yeah.
am now. So I feel like these setbacks come in to show you the progress that you're on, and how much you've improved. And like, yes, bad things still happen. It's not a utopia, it's not heaven, there's no such thing. Like, I'm not with this whole idea of, like, I feel like it falls into toxic positivity, where messages go into, like, you should always be happy, you should always try to be on a no,
No,
you need
that would be
to.
crazy.
Exactly. You need to sit with your emotions, you need to accept bad things when they happen. The only difference is, don't let them eat you up. You know what I mean? You need to accept things, you need to embrace it. Why is this happening? How I'm gonna sit with it? What am I learning from it? What's the test here? And all that. Not
I always tell
rejecting.
people,
uh,
as far as your thoughts and emotion, have them, but control them and don't let them control you. You feel
yes,
hurt? All right, fine.
exactly.
Take the hurt, eat it, and
Yep.
move the fuck on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, same for me. Like, I was going through something very rough about a year and a half ago, and it was the first time in my life where I'm like, I'm just gonna accept every emotion that I wake up with. Like, if I wake up today feeling very angry, I'm gonna be angry today. That's fine. I'm gonna live it. And then I'm gonna go to bed. Let's see what tomorrow gonna bring, because it was like just a very big event that happened. It wasn't just like a normal state. And the next day I would wake up extremely sad. The day after that I would wake up very happy, and it went on for like a month or two. And I'm sharing these emotions with my friends and everything and all that. And I realized how easy it was to get better once I've accepted and embraced these emotions. I didn't let them take over me. I didn't reject them completely and put them, no, I'm not sad. Why am I sad? I should not be feeling that. I should, no, okay, that's fine. It's something big happened in my life. I should accept it. And I'm in a much, much better place than I was before.
Good. Good. Hmm. Yeah, that happened to me with the setback too. I was actually kind of mad that it felt like I was reverting.
Yes. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, that
Exactly.
that
Yes.
part was a little bit, like, I don't want to go back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can't go back there. Like, you need to trust that no matter how bad it got, and you might have got bad days and it went down and everything, but because you see yourself how you were before, you know what I mean, because you're now in a different place. There is You can't just go back there and forget about what you've experienced once you've gotten better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, the temptation is strong, yes. It feels comfortable to go back there. Like, the call is like, yes, I can just be what I was and it would be so
Yeah, it's
easy,
easy.
right?
Yeah, it's very easy.
But you will not let yourself get there, no matter how much do you
Yeah.
doubt yourself.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I guess look in at themselves to find that peace. Because the peace, I feel, it comes from inside. It's not,
Yes.
it's not in a new car. It's not in cash. It's not in a
Yeah.
pretty girl. It's inside.
Yes.
So, what's a good way to get people to look for that? Because that doesn't seem to
I
be something that's really valued.
I think you just need to be the best version of yourself, and you just need to live with that peace. because that will it's contagious, but it's very subtle contagion. You know, like it doesn't happen. Like people are gonna look at you, and even if they don't feel it right now, something is gonna get stirred within them. Like, you know, like there's so much peace in this guy, or there's acceptance, or what, or maybe they will ask you one time a question and you will give them the answer, and you'll plant a seed that they might notice 10 years down the line. You know, like each one has their own path, their own pace of accepting things or changing or learning and all that stuff. But I feel like the best thing we can do is just be as authentic with ourselves as we can, and it will automatically revert back to your surroundings, to the environment that you're in. Even like I said, even if someone comes and asks you a question one time and you answer them, yeah, I'm feeling like this, I've been on a spiritual path, you know, they go like, okay, this guy is like crazy, he lost his mind, you know, I'm out, all that. You had planted something in them that they will remember when they need to remember it. It's just in their own time.
Okay. So show people through being an example.
That's it. Just be you, and not even for the intention to change people. Just as long as you're authentic with yourself, that authenticity will transfer to them. They will feel it. They will feel that, wow, there is something about him that is genuine. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then they will. And even if one person asks, that person, and let's say you convinced him or you changed something within one person, he is gonna go ahead and do that with others, with someone else.
Yeah.
That person is just chain that keeps, you know, growing and growing slowly. Because that's how we got our right. Like I opened a book one time and I read about it, and then I talked with someone, and then I watched a YouTube video all about spiritual stuff. All I did
Just
was
like
I
how you
just
said we're all
received that
connected
information.
is
Yeah. It's
okay.
just like at some point in my life, I needed something. So when I heard an idea, it resonated with me. I feel like, you know, this idea serves me right now. I wanna explore it more. It was just one guy who posted something, for example, one time. You know what I mean? Like I got someone who she contacted me on my Instagram, and she's in Australia, and she told me, you know, I listen to your podcast all the time, and I just want to tell you thank you for doing this, because so much of my beliefs align with what you're saying, but I have no one to talk to, and I just needed someone to feel like I'm not alone about these ideas. And to me, that's like, you know, that's literally the reason why I do this. Like if
Yeah.
one of everyone who listens, you know, changes their mind or gets affected, then that's it. I've done what I needed to do. That's all I want. You know, like affect one person, and then
No, no, I
the
definitely
domino
get that.
effect will take place.
Let me know if you've had this issue. So I've been interested in spirituality, but a lot of the people that speak about spirituality, I can't relate to at all.
Why do you feel you need to relate to them as
Because
people?
as much as we live on the same world, we don't live in the same world. You know, somebody can be
Yes,
living on the other side of town and their reality is completely different than your reality,
true.
you know?
But my
So,
question to you is,
mhm.
why, if you're listening to someone and he has an idea that resonated with you, but you're not, what you're saying is that you're not relating to the person that is saying it, or to his idea. What is the issue that you're not connecting with?
So now it's a little bit easier to take it in, but
Okay.
it took a while to get to this point. But it's more of if a peaceful person is telling me to be peaceful, but all they've ever done is be
Um,
peaceful, you know, why are you talking to me? You know, if you've been a warrior and you're talking to me about peace, I understand you,
got you. Got you.
you know?
I think what to me is, it makes me accept spiritual ideas and people talking about it more than other more religions and stuff like that, is because when it comes to spirituality, it's what resonates with you. It's what you relate to. And if that idea, you feel like, you know what, this is something I can get on board with, then you can get on board this idea. But it doesn't mean that just accepting one idea is accepting all ideas. I think
Yeah.
the beauty of it is that we can just, you know, there's a lot of ideas headed our way. We can get exposed to so many things, but I can literally have one person who says something that I go like, you know what, I really like this idea. And then they say something else and I go like, you know what, I don't like this idea. Like this does not, I don't resonate with that. I don't
Yeah.
think there's an issue. It's not like a black and white situation that religion presents, where you either accept it all or you don't accept
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You
I
can
feel
take bits and
it's
pieces.
much more subject. Exactly. And it what works with you, because you're a different person. Like you're saying, I have different experiences. So I need to be like, for example, when it comes to my peace of mind, it has to come from accepting certain things that have happened in my life, right? These things did not happen in your life. So I go chase ideas that make me feel better, that would, you know, make me feel okay about what happened with me. Why did I grow up in such an environment? Why did I go through this? Why did I go through that? Someone else can go into a different direction completely. They don't need to follow my ideas.
Yeah.
Like some people need to go up on a mountain and meditate for years. That's their calling. That's what they need to do.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I need to be part of the world. I need to talk to people. I need to understand, you know, personally. I
Different
need
things work for different
to
people.
understand and
Absolutely.
get to know as many people as I can. Right? That's it. Doesn't mean that when the guy is sitting at the mountain telling me about how much peace he has because of his meditation and all that, doesn't mean that, oh, you know what, like, yeah, it's not for me. I'm gonna go look for what works for me.
All right. Do you have anything you want to tell the people?
Just about you know, if they want to listen to my podcast, like I
Where
said,
can they find it?
it's on every podcast channel, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, everything you can imagine, it's there. It's called Paradigm Shift with Sergio Halabi. And I also have an Instagram page where I kind of show more of the stuff that I talk about in my podcast, but more visually.
Okay.
So it's called paradigm.shift.experience. That's where
Okay.
I put my podcast as well as other ideas. So people can go there as well.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll put the name and the address
Yeah,
on the thing.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. It's been
Yeah.
great talking with you.
Same. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me.
No, not a
I
problem.
think
Learned a
this
lot
is,
today.
yeah.
Got to
I
take my
feel
break
like
a little bit.
exactly. Like I think we went into too many topics that each one is its own rabbit hole. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. We definitely should do this again.
yeah. We'll pick one specific topic only of one of them, and then we'll deep dive into
Yeah, I think
that.
that's a good idea. Well, I'll
Yeah,
end up doing a series
yeah.
or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. All right. Take care, man.
See you. Bye bye.
Bye.